RIMS is global. Discover why 10,000 of your peers in more than 60 countries are part of the world's largest risk management community. Visit rims.org/membership to find the best membership for you and your organization. Coming to you from RIMS headquarters in New York, this is RIMScast, the official podcast of the Risk and Insurance Management Society. I am Justin Smulison, Business Content Manager here at RIMS and your proud RIMScast host. This is episode 402. We will be joined today by Dawnmarie Black of Amwins. She is also the president of the Association of Professional Insurance Women, or APIW. But first, let's talk about the RIMS-CRMP. We are delighted to announce that on August 27th and 28th, RIMS President Manny Padilla will be leading the two-day in-person workshop at St. John's University at 101 Astor Place in New York City. A link to the registration is on this episode's show notes. And on to virtual workshops. RIMS will partner up with PARIMA for the RIMS-CRMP on September 1st and 2nd. Registration links are on this episode's notes. Also on the webinars page, you will see a two-part series hosted by the RIMS membership department. The Classroom to Career webinar series highlights how RIMS equips students with the knowledge, skills, and connections needed to thrive in risk management careers. Participants will gain insights into industry trends, career pathways, and practical tools that help them confidently step into the evolving world of risk management after graduation. These sessions will be hosted on September 1st and 9th. These sessions are member exclusives and complimentary for members, of course. So if you are interested in becoming a member, this would be the time. Visit rims.org/membership. Folks, RIMS is back on YouTube. Our handle is at RIMS Official Channel. We've got plenty of videos there, including RIMScast, RIMScast Canada video podcasts, and other informative and entertaining content from RIMS. Subscribe to the channel today. We have more plugs later. Let's get on with the show. Our guest today is Dawnmarie Black. She is the Senior Vice President and Client Relationship Manager at Amwins, and she is the President of APIW, the Association of Professional Insurance Women. We'll talk a little bit about her career journey, what she believes it takes to attract and retain talent in insurance and risk management, and the interconnected risks that are on her radar. Let's get to it. Dawnmarie Black, welcome to RIMScast. Joining us today is Dawnmarie Black. You know her from Amwins, and she is also the president of the Association of Professional Insurance Women, APIW. I'm wearing their pin. She's wearing their pin. Welcome to the show, Dawnmarie.
Thank you, Justin. It's so great to be here, and I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Likewise. So before we dive into too much, I always like to cue the audience in. I would love it if you would tell us about your role now at Amwins and your abridged or recent career journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm a client relationship manager at Amwins, which means that I get involved and build relationships with our retail trading partners. And it's a strategic national and corporate relationship, so across the U.S. And then I work and collaborate with their teams, maybe their market placement teams or their carrier strategy teams, and our internal brokers. So there's a lot of collaboration that happens to really ensure that our brokers are finding the opportunities, and so that the client understands how Amwins, and we understand how Amwins fits into their strategic priorities, and really to grow both of our businesses. So we're there to support the retail brokers, but also support our internal brokers in their growth initiatives.
And when did you join Amwins?
September of last year. So I'm coming up on a year.
Right. And so if I'm remembering correctly, you have a very colorful history in insurance. You want to catch us up real quick?
Yes, absolutely.
I know it's tough to whittle all those years down into just a few sentences, but please, if you can do it, please.
I will try to do it as abbreviated as I can.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say that, and then I'm going to go back to college, but very quick point. So my father owned an insurance agency in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is where I grew up. And I worked at his agency from age 16 onwards. I also worked at an agency locally. I went to Allegheny College in Meadville, Pennsylvania. So I've done a lot of the mailroom, the file room, cold calling, CSR work. And I thought that's what I was going to do is ultimately move up in my father's agency and someday be the succession plan.
Yeah.
He sold it. I went to work for Chubb in their training program, which was absolutely a phenomenal start into this industry. They had a great training program back then. A lot of us are still colleagues and friends today, which really set the stage for my career. And then I moved through I was underwriting, I was brokerage, I built an IT system when I was at Aon called Fact Connect. So built, launched, all of that. And then I went back to underwriting for a little while because I've always been a technical broker. I lost a little bit of that religion. So I went back to underwriting to gain it for 2.5 years, which was terrific. And then most recently, I was at Lloyd's of London. I was the head of market development for the Americas, and really just an incredible global role to understand what's happening in the global marketplace. So you're really at that 30,000 foot view, but working with our stakeholders in the US very closely, which is ultimately how I got to Amwins, because I was working with the leadership team here and promoting the Lloyd's market, doing education, doing events, that kind of thing.
Excellent. So clearly the insurance part of things was in the blood.
Yes.
And we hear that not as often as I fell into it, but
Yes.
we hear that, or we also hear that it's a family business or something like that. But it is fascinating that you were not the successor to your father and you made your own way. But based on that's your foundational experience right there. You learned it from the ground up.
I did. And you know what's so interesting, Justin, is that I've almost come full circle.
Mm-hmm.
So I've done reinsurance, MGAs. I've touched almost every part of our industry except for claims.
Okay.
And here I am as a client relationship manager working with retailers again. And so it has been a very interesting and fulfilling journey. And I feel like it's placed me well to be in a position like this, working with our retailers.
Back to that Chubb training program that you mentioned. You said that you and several others are still connected and friendly to this day. How do you, as a client relationship manager, how do you establish trust with people, whether they're your peers or whether they are your clients or a prospective customer?
Communication and transparency.
Communication and transparency.
Yes, I am a person that tells it like it is. I also will go the extra mile and go out of my way to make sure things get done. That is one aspect of this job that I love. And particularly at Amwins, we tend to have a servant leadership culture, and I'm here to help and help direct or help move things or help resolve things. Obviously on a very strategic macro level, but that fills my cup. And so when I can make those relationships and those bonds and own up to what I'm promising, if I tell you I'm going to get something done, I will get it done to the best of my ability, or there will be a very good reason as to why it hasn't been.
Right.
But
and
communicating that is important.
These are timeless qualities. Are you seeing that the next generation of leaders are exhibiting these same qualities? Are they bringing something different to the table?
I think they're exhibiting the same qualities. They are. The next generation is very thoughtful, very demanding. I think they have a lot of high expectations. I feel like when I and my current peers rolled into this industry, right, there's a prove yourself culture.
Okay.
And there was sort of a prescribed way that you had to approach the business. Let's go back to the Chubb training program.
Sure.
That was 12 weeks in New Jersey, in Warren, New Jersey, in their training center. You learned the policy forms inside and out. You dissected them. You learned how to work with insureds and understanding needs. You understood risk. You learned underwriting and pricing. There was a very big emphasis on understanding the business. Unfortunately for our young professionals, there are not as many programs like that available today. And you find companies who are putting training programs together. Amwins has an underwriter development program that is outstanding. And a lot of the business produced in Amwins comes from those who have come through like a UDP or a broker development program. But our industry has gotten away from the super formalized training programs. And probably to the detriment of our younger professionals, but we're all stepping in and finding ways to fill those gaps.
Right.
So
because you can use the technology to keep people from having to travel 1,500 miles and that sort of thing. So there's that. I think,
correct.
Based on what I'm hearing, it sounds like you had a very, what we would call an analog style program, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot less tech-based and more hands-on and actually using a pen and a paper, which is nothing I ever want to do again.
Especially for me, because I'm a lefty.
Right. Oh, then there's that. Yeah. I feel bad for anybody sitting next to you at the training program. You're elbowing them the whole time. Yeah.
And client dinners can get tricky too.
So at what point did you learn about or join APIW?
That was so early in my career. I was an APIW member, and I was pretty much based either Pittsburgh, and then I moved to Boston about 6 years into my career. But whenever I was in New York, there was monthly luncheons. I would try to make 2 or 3 a year. I was a member. And then I kind of got away from APIW for a few years. But about 10 years ago, while I was at Lloyd's, I was asked to join the board of APIW and get more involved.
Okay.
And so through those years, I held several different roles, co-head of programming, treasurer, and then ultimately was asked to step into the president position. So I've seen the evolution of APIW, which has been incredible, to go from 500 members to 3,500 members, 11 chapters across the U.S., 60 corporate sponsorships. So we've really evolved as an organization from the first time I was involved.
Excellent. And it sounds like it was the sort of thing where you really had to get your career established first before you could also have a focus on an organization that needed your volunteerism.
It's funny that you say that, because when I was in my late 40s, actually probably early 40s, I went to my very first women's leadership conference. So think about the availability of those kind of events today.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a lot of that back then. And IICF held a women's leadership conference. I was struggling a bit career-wise at work, just trying to figure out what it was that I wanted to do, and sort of, maybe that burnout phase.
Yeah.
And so at this conference, there was a woman who was speaking about the importance of getting involved, of joining boards, of growing your network. And I had always done that organically, but I hadn't done it thoughtfully. Right? It was client-driven, client-based. And so I went back to management and I said, IICF, the board positions go to sponsor companies. They said, would you sponsor IICF, and could I be chosen as the board member? And that's where I got my first board experience. I, again, moved up and ended up being the co-chair of the Boston chapter, which I learned a lot and prepared me for APIW.
Gotcha. Now, fill us in. IICF stands for?
Insurance Industry Charitable Foundation.
Let's take a quick break and talk about all the fantastic RIMS events coming up in 2026. This is a last call for registration for the second annual RIMS Texas Regional Conference, which will be held August 10th through the 12th at the wonderful Grand Hyatt on the San Antonio Riverwalk. Visit rims.org/events for registration information. The hotel cutoff date was July 10th. Reservations may still be made after the hotel cutoff date, subject to availability. However, the negotiated group rate is no longer guaranteed, so reserve now. The 11th annual Chicagoland Risk Forum will return to the old post office on Thursday, September 24th. Visit chicagolandriskforum.org for more information. The RIMS Western Regional Conference will be held October 4th through the 7th in Seattle, Washington. The agenda is live and registration is now open. Visit RIMSWesternRegional.com and the link on this episode's show notes for more information. And save the dates, October 18th through the 21st. We will be in Quebec City to celebrate the 50th live RIMS Canada Conference. Booth sales are open and sponsorship opportunities are still available. And advanced registration is open now. Visit RIMSCanadaConference.ca for more information. And also remember to check out RIMS.org/Canada for our spin-off show, RIMScast Canada, hosted by National Conference Committee Chair Aaron Luconi. The RIMS-CRMP Conference 2026 will be held November 19th and 20th in Columbus, Ohio. Registration is open, and through August 21st, you can nominate a program for the RIMS-CRMP Global Award of Distinction. If you know of an ERM program that is award-worthy, we want to hear about it. A link to the nomination form is on this episode's show notes. Visit rims.org/ERM 2026. And folks, can you believe it? We're already looking to Risk World 2027, which will be held over 4 days in New Orleans, Louisiana, April 18th through the 21st. The call for session proposals is now live and will stay active through August 21st. And let's talk about Risk World registration. RIMS members can exclusively register by September 4th for the best rate and get first access to the hotel block. Hotel reservations open October 28th ahead of public registration. Sitting this out is the real risk. The link to registration is on this episode's show notes. And now let's return to our interview with APIW President Dawnmarie Black. Dawnmarie, many of our listeners, as you know, are corporate risk managers who work closely with brokers and insurers. Now, from your perspective, what distinguishes the strongest partnerships between risk managers and insurance professionals?
We talked a little bit earlier about the importance of building relationships and communication and transparency.
Sure.
And I believe that applies to the risk managers as well. So those risk managers who are getting to know their brokers, getting to know their underwriters, building those relationships, taking the time to tell their own story, not letting others tell it for them, making the trips to London, making the trips to Bermuda, again, obviously depending on how complex the accounts are, but building that trust, understanding the ecosystem, the insurance ecosystem, and where does an MGA maybe come into play? Where would Lloyd's of London come into play? Where Bermuda? Their brokers are going to guide them along the way with all of that, but also being able to debate or understand why a specific carrier or market is being suggested, or even having a relationship. It goes such a long way, particularly in the there's a claim or there's a wording issue. The relationship's established and the ability to pick up the phone and say, we need to have a conversation. You've already set the stage.
Here at RIMS, we cover a lot of interconnected risks and polycrisis. So the list is growing. We were wondering, which emerging risks do you believe deserve more attention from the insurance industry over the next 3 to 5 years, the midterm?
AI is obviously one of the biggest topics on everybody's mind.
Sure.
So addressing that is incredibly important. One of the questions is, will AI drive margins down? How do we address that?
Or how do we leverage it to do our jobs better?
How do we leverage it to do our jobs better? And we need to leverage it to do our jobs better. We can't decide that we're just going to simply depend on it.
Right.
It exists. It's there as a tool. We need to prepare our people to be able to assess it, analyze it, understand it, program it, right?
Yep.
So the prompts, the best prompt writers out there are getting the best results. Doesn't mean it's a perfect result. So you've got to be able to have that communication ability. Again, I feel like that's going to be a theme in our conversation.
Sure.
The ability to analyze and then to explain why the output makes sense and how it applies. So, AI is very important.
One. Yeah.
AI is one. Data. So the need for more and more data, the ability to depend on that, use AI to help power or understand those two in conjunction. I talked about telling your story earlier, being able to explain the data, show the impact. What does it mean for a risk manager? Is it an opportunity to say, we could take a larger retention and explain to their board or to leadership why? We need more cover in this area. We look at a lot of what's happening with weather-related events. cats aren't going away. They're just getting worse, right?
Catastrophic events, not felines.
Not felines, correct. Exactly. So you look at the state of Illinois. They've had more convective storms this year than any of the other states. It's unexpected, unprepared for.
Right.
Now it creates a shift. It creates a shift for the underwriters, for the clients, for the brokers, understanding that, making sure that you've got the data to understand what's been exposed or what's been impacted. So the models need to address these shifts. And we all need, as an industry, to be pushing for that.
Yeah.
The stronger the models, the more differentiated, the different models that we can have. And again, maybe that's where AI plays a really great role in helping us in the changing and the adaptation.
Hence the interconnectedness of it all. And are these the sorts of trends that you're watching right now? You personally? Yeah.
Yes. And what I see at Amwins, again, I was so impressed with the data that we have to work with. And when you have that good data, the world opens up. It opens up to capital, right? It opens up to new strategies. It really makes a big difference and where an organization is going to go strategically. And that impacts everybody.
Folks, let's talk about an issue that's near and dear to my heart. Sponsorships. You can sponsor a RIMScast episode either on our publicly facing weekly show, that's this show, or with a dedicated episode. RIMScast is proud of its long-standing relationships with AXA XL, Global Risk Consultants, Alliant, Zurich, and more. Links to many of these episodes are on our show notes. And RIMScast sponsorships can be bundled with white papers and webinar sponsorships. RIMScast has a global audience comprised of risk and insurance professionals, legal professionals, students, business leaders, C-suite executives, and more. Let's collaborate and help you reach them. Reach out to my good friend Ted Donovan at tdonovan@rims.org or reach out to sales@rims.org. Let's find the best opportunity for you and your organization. And now let's conclude our interview with APIW President Dawnmarie Black. Another one of the risks that we got to talk about for insurance and the risk profession is attracting and retaining talent. Right? You have a unique story because you were part of the family business. So not everybody's going to have that advantage, right?
Yes.
So from your perspective, what can organizations do to make insurance careers more appealing to younger professionals and even career changers?
Well, one, stop saying I just fell into it, right?
You know what? You're the first person to ever say to stop saying it. Everybody acknowledges that they do say it and they kind of get all sheepish about it, but you're being a little more forceful. I like that.
We have a story to tell. There is a reason that somebody came into this industry. It probably wasn't planned,
right?
But how they got started, why they stayed. We need to talk more about why do people stay in insurance? Because they love it. It is a wonderful ecosystem for growth, for travel. It's stable. So there's a lot around, like APIW just held 2 intern days, one in New York and one in Chicago. So we had about 20 people in Chicago. This was our first year in Chicago, our second in New York. We had about 50 in New York. And for our corporate sponsor companies, we do this out of our own budget. There's no charge for it. We bring the interns together. We do 4 hours. We do leadership panel, networking, answering questions. I know a lot of other associations do that. There's a lot of groups. Look at RISE Professionals. Are you familiar with RISE Professionals?
Yes, I am. Some friends have been posting that they were just there. Was it in Florida?
It was in Florida, and they had a terrific leadership conference and gala. That's an opportunity for young professionals to come together with a very good programming around leadership, networking with their peers and colleagues, dressing up and going to a gala and celebrating. And so all I've heard is positive feedback about that. So those professional development learning opportunities and APIW supports RISE, RISE supports our mentor program. And that's also what you'll see a lot of is interconnectivity among the insurance associations saying, okay, well, you've got a great mentor program. We're not going to go rebuild it. Let's partner.
Yeah.
And then that helps both of the associations. There's the market in Charlotte rallies around Community Matters.
Okay.
So there was a week-long session 2 weeks ago bringing young children from underrepresented communities in to learn and understand about insurance. So again, those kind of programs where we're reaching out to talent, not through, there's the traditional risk management schools, that's obviously incredibly important as well.
Sure.
But looking at where are the non-traditional avenues, and where are we also looking non-traditional diversity avenues and
Right.
HBCUs. And I know I have a lot of friends who do a lot of work in the HBCUs, like the Black Sisterhood does an incredible amount of work. So it's that kind of reach out, keeping people. So
that's the other side of things. Attracting them is one way. And I wanted to, but before we get to retention, I do want to give a quick shout out to my friends at the Spencer Educational Foundation. You're familiar with them, right?
Yes, absolutely. And a huge shout out. And absolutely, they have done such an incredible job in rallying the industry around. And I'm sure you've been to the dinners.
I have.
And when the young professionals get up to speak, it is incredibly inspirational. And what they do with their careers and their appreciation for the opportunities to come into this industry. They've done a terrific job. So yes,
I don't know how they found the time to sleep while in college doing and achieving all that they did, because I've heard them speak.
Yes.
Some are recent or soon to be college graduates. Others were recent college graduates. One was a veteran a couple of years ago.
Yes,
and
I was there for that one.
Yes, and Daquan, that was his name. And he was excellent. And you hear these, I'm going to call them kids, but you hear these young people and you just say, did you go out and party at all while you were in college, or were you just working on your risk management career? But I mean that in a positive way, because life's not like Revenge of the Nerds. Those people were dedicated. They had a focus, and everything that you're saying is great. That's a great way to get them through. And then there's the monetary part of it as well. They're being incentivized. There's scholarships, there are grants, and all of that is helpful to get them through the door.
I just want to say the work ethic.
Oh yeah.
And I think that sometimes the younger generation gets criticized from the older generation for work ethic. And I don't see that. I see an incredible amount of work ethic, and particularly for those students that have come through that program.
Yeah, through the Spencer lens, I don't see an issue with the work ethic. In fact, if anything, it's inspired me as somebody who's 20 plus years older than them to bust my butt a little bit harder. How can we keep the newer professionals engaged and committed to a hopefully long career?
What seems to be important to them is that sense of community. And when you're coming to work, we're all coming to work.
Sure.
But there's also the culture that you're creating, and the culture of trust, and the idea that there are mentorship opportunities, and that there are more senior people in the organization that are looking out for you and helping to propel your career, answering the questions that you have. That is key when you've got the younger generation and you've got an experienced generation. Think about our industry right now. I think we have 4 or 5 different generations rolling through, all who come at things slightly differently. It's when you can build that culture that you can bring those all together. And it's not you're a millennial and you behave this way, or you're Gen Z and you behave. It's more about just understanding where people are coming from. So that talent development, what we invest into talent development programs, into professional programs, allowing them the opportunity to become involved in other outside associations, encouraging that involvement, encouraging that you're out, you're networking, you're meeting people. That enriches your professional development and your career. And then I will just close. Am I allowed to mention Amwins one more time?
Absolutely.
All right. Okay. So we have a program here called the RTTP program.
RTTP.
Yes.
You gotta give us Tell us what the
I have
acronym
no
is.
idea what it stands for. The fact that I could even say RTTP is good. But we have people who are on the retirement track, incredibly senior brokers with books of business, and we have young people who are looking, coming through our broker development programs. The two get married up, and there's a relationship formed. The client is taken care of because there's succession planning and consistency. The two are learning from each other. The books are passed off. There's a respect for the experience and what that broker or senior leader brings to the table. And there's a respect for what that young person is learning.
Right.
And I haven't seen a lot of that across the industry. And that's one of the things that entice me about Amwins, to have that kind of cultural approach to the generations.
That is the first time I've heard of it, at least on this show. So kudos to Amwins, which is not an AM radio station. I've met some of your Amwins folks at Risk World, and they're lovely. And another person that we have in common is Liz King. She's a former APIW president, and I believe she gave me this pin for those who might be lucky enough to see this on YouTube. And she was great. You have a good relationship with her?
Oh my gosh, Liz is the best. She has been mentoring me for over 4 years now.
Okay.
She was treasurer before I was. So when I moved into that, she helped me learn. She was president. I've stepped into her shoes, and no way near filling them as well as she did. She's just absolutely incredible. She's become a terrific friend, partner. Munich Re just hosted a golf day and for women, and I was just on a panel with her and Sabrina Hart, and then we did a golf clinic. So, incredible leader for APIW.
Excellent. How long is a presidency or a president's term at APIW typically?
It's 2 years.
Okay. All right. So, how many years in are you?
I am 2 years. However, I'm going to extend for 1 more year.
Okay.
And then we have Tracy Vasili, who is our industry liaison and first vice president, is going to step in, and we're going to transition together. And then she's going to step in when I roll off.
Very good. Very good. And speaking of APIW, you've been helping insurance professionals develop careers for decades, as we said. And this is evidenced by the 50th Anniversary Gala, which will be held Tuesday, November 3rd. I can't believe we're already talking about November. November 3rd, 2026 at the Edison Ballroom in Manhattan on 47th Street. You excited?
So excited. We are. Yeah, everybody's gearing up. We have a wonderful video that we're working on. It is going to be a night to remember. Everybody dress up, come out, celebrate, look beautiful, look handsome. Our allies, the women that are involved. We have our chapter heads flying in, the chairs from the various cities. We have, I think we're up to 14 past Women of the Year. So the Women of the Year that we do every year. So we have 15 of them coming. We have Cecilia Norad, who was the founder. So she is going to be coming as well. So we have it's an incredible lineup of programming, a beautiful dinner, and beautiful event.
Terrific. And sounds reminiscent of our Spencer Educational Foundation's funding their future galas. And it is a celebration. It is a chance for you can talk business, but you can look nice and look your best doing it, right? You get that invaluable face time that is so rare these days, right?
Making those connections.
Yes.
And strengthening those connections.
Sure.
I have had the opportunity to sit as a founder on WISE, which is Women in Specialty and Excess. Amazing emerging organization. And it was simply too much for me between being president of APIW and being part of WISE. So I took a step back. But what it made me realize is that the women in this industry, or the professionals in this industry, it could be any of the associations, that step up, look outside of their own sphere, and create these opportunities for other people to connect, and these associations. When I think about 50 years, I think about all of the work that's gone into standing up WISE, or looking what Amy Cooper did with RISE and where she's taking it. 50 years of doing that really says a lot. And it's a time to pause and think, where are we going for our next 50? Because we're going to be here, and we're going to be delivering the program and the networking and the development and the leadership. And so that is what we're excited about. And that is where we're looking, the past, the current, the future, and bringing in the young professionals, the people who help build it and the young professionals. So bridging that divide.
So before I let you go, I did want to ask you, because I've had the pleasure of emceeing some events here for RIMS, and it's a blast and I have a great time. And I know that not everyone is cut out for being the center of attention and being on stage. Are you comfortable on stage? And is that something that you had to develop over time? Because you're going to be on stage at the gala. So I have to assume there's some level of comfort.
There is absolutely a level of comfort. What I learned during COVID is I struggle with virtual presentations so much that what I learned is I used to get nervous being on stage and being in front of people. Now I get so excited because you feel the energy in the room and you're up there and you're creating the conversation and engaging people. It is such a different experience. So in a weird way, I'm grateful for the virtual experiences because it's taken away that fear factor in the in-person experiences.
Excellent. Well, Dawnmarie, it has been a pleasure to connect with you here on RIMScast. A quick reminder for everyone, the APIW's 50th Anniversary Gala will be Tuesday, November 3rd, 2026 at the Edison Ballroom at 47th Street in Manhattan. And Dawnmarie will be there, of course. And please, if you do attend, let her know that you heard this RIMScast interview and that's what piqued your interest to get there. And I look forward to seeing you at RIMS events and Spencer events as well.
Yes. Justin, thank you so much for the conversation today and for the opportunity, and a big thanks to RIMS as well. So yes, 350 of us at the gala, maybe more. I don't know. We look forward to seeing you there.
Special thanks again to Dawnmarie Black of Amwins and APIW. APIW's 50th Anniversary Gala will be on November 3rd, 2026 at the Edison Ballroom in New York City. Visit apiw.org. The countdown ticker for the gala is right there on the page, so check it out and let them know you heard Dawnmarie on RIMScast. Let's talk about RIMS membership, folks. Become a RIMS member and get access to the tools, thought leadership, and network you need to succeed. Visit rims.org/membership or email membershipdept@rims.org for more information. And let's also talk about Risk Knowledge. This is the RIMS searchable content library that provides relevant information for today's risk professionals. Available materials include RIMS executive reports, survey findings, contributed articles, industry research, benchmarking data, and more. For the best reporting on the profession of risk management, check out Risk Management Magazine. This is the Society's official quarterly digital publication. It is written and published by the best minds in risk management. My name is Justin Smulison, Business Content Manager here at RIMS. Please remember to subscribe to RIMScast on your favorite podcasting app. Email us at content@rims.org. Practice good risk management, stay safe, and thank you again for your continued support.